So I just got back from my third cultural experience, which was the Chinese movie night. It was called A Bite of China, put on by the CUSA, which is the Chinese Undergrad Student Association. And the event was that they were playing two segments of this movie series called A Bite of China. They were called Balancing the Five Tastes and the Story of Staple Foods, which was really cool to see. They kind of reminded me of the Food Network channel that we see here, where they go around and try different restaurant foods that are famous for something in their hometown, a lot of times like the hole-in-the-wall places. And this movie showed some of the staple foods like vinegar and chili peppers and the different ways that they used sugar and made noodles, and how one man, his profession was that he distilled salt water and got sea salt out of it, and how hard of work it was, but they definitely preserved the traditions. And the other one was the staple foods of China, and I learned that in the north they eat a lot of wheat, and these old women would make biscuits, and they would show that traditionally women have very nimble fingers and are very creative, and they would show that by making these biscuits that were quite works of art, actually. They were really pretty and very intricate. And in the South, they eat a lot of rice. And I've always thought that in China that the entire country ate rice, but I guess that doesn't really make a lot of sense, because here in the U.S., in the UP, they eat pasties. Out east, they eat a lot of seafood. Down south, in Louisiana, they have spicy foods, so our food varies around different regions as well. So that was really interesting to learn. And I also got to try some of the food, which was really good. It was absolutely nothing like the normal Chinese food that I've had here in the U.S. It was just a lot different. I don't know exactly how to describe it. I had a sort of dumpling thing that was full of what reminded me of like barbecued pork, which I had to ask how to eat it from the girl who was sitting next to me, because we had chopsticks, which, I could handle with like the tofu and the rice, but then I had no idea how to eat this thing, but she told me just to pick it up and eat it with my fingers, so that really wasn't that challenging. But I was at a loss for a minute. And actually, the girl that I was sitting next to was also an education major. When I walked in, I was pretty nervous. I wasn't too scared to meet new people, but I wasn't really sure about the club or the event or how it would run, and I just didn't like that uncertainty so much. But I walked in and I introduced myself to the guy who was standing there, and she overheard that I was an elementary education major. And she ran over and was like, "Oh, so am I." And she was really excited about it, which made me feel so much better. She made me feel really welcome, which was really cool, because I was putting myself out there, and that was exactly what I needed. And we talked for a long time about different education classes. She was telling me about some in the planned program that I should be excited for, that she really enjoyed, and talking about coming to the U.S. And I asked her the hardest thing for coming to the United States for school, and she said that it was leaving her family. And I stupidly asked if she had any brothers and sisters, which she said no, because of the one-child policy, that she was an only child. And I realized that that was kind of a cultural norm question for me, is that we talk about that kind of thing. And it's something I didn't even think twice about asking, but she was nice about it. It wasn't really awkward. And then I was thinking that I cannot imagine not seeing my family for 2 years, because she said she's not going back till after graduation and she's a junior, and how terribly I would miss them. But clearly she was dedicated to her education to come over here, and she chose Michigan State because it's such a prestigious education school. So I was really fortunate to get to meet her and talk to her, because she was so friendly and so welcoming and very, very cool to meet. And the other girl that I met was a Chinese major who was studying abroad in China, and she was trying to get acclimated with the food and the culture and everything before she goes, because obviously it's going to be a step out of her cultural comfort zone as well. So yeah, I was really impressed with the people that I met and interested in what I've learned.